Welcome back, guys. This is Logan with West Desert Wheeler. We are jumping right into Joint Effort Trail. Welcome back to another ride along. One of the best parts about Joint Effort is right where that trail sign is the beginning of the trail, and you get right into the action. Just touching our belly right there. And then we're gonna zigzag our way through this canyon. You end up sitting super off camber through this whole canyon, which in this buggy is not a big deal, but in a Jeep, this right wall up here, you can get into your side of your Jeep pretty easily. But because I have such good clearance between the tire poke on my cage and the chassis, I can actually block the right rear and help the car pivot up and around this corner. So Joint Effort is one of my favorite trails out here. It's really a good one. It's got a ton of really fun lines. Working that left rear on its way up. It is a 9 rated trail, which for this car is kind of just cruising. It's just having fun. Got the 42-inch BF Goodrich crawlers on it. It is their red label tire, so it's their sticky compound. You can only get the red label in the 42. They don't offer a less aggressive compound. This is my Hulse engineering buggy. This car was built in 2022 by my friend Matt Jory. I purchased this car complete. I did not build this. But the cage itself comes from Hulse Engineering. And then it's set up for link geometry to work with portal axles. And the portal axles on this car use Toyota differentials, so the 8-inch Toyota diff. So you're like a 90s Toyota pickup, we have the same differentials. The reason I'm able to run such a small differential in this car is because it's got portals on the ends of the axles, and the portals have their own gear reduction. So it's a trail gear housing that's built for the Toyota differentials. And then a C for the knuckle is welded to the outside of that housing. Alright, we're gonna cheat and use some rear steer. It's funny how that little bit different angle on the rear just pushes it right up. So as I was saying, you got the trail gear housing, you weld the big C that holds the portal on the end. The C's are made from Jesse Haynes fabrication. And then they're Humvee military vehicle portal boxes. This car does not have special gears in those boxes. These are standard Humvee portal gears. Jesse Haynes offers a hardened portal gear as well as a helical cut portal gear. These are what come in a Humvee. The axle shafts are custom cut for this to go from the Toyota diff to those. It has an RCV joint in them. So I don't have U-joints in my axles, I have RCVs, which are a constant velocity joint. If you guys are familiar with Toyota stuff, it works a lot like a Burfield. The downside to that is that those RCVs, if you max them out on steering, they can start clicking. This car has steering limiter, so I'm limited to about 45, 47 degrees. Which fortunately, it is limited because it doesn't click. I've been around cars with the RCV click, and it's kind of annoying. under almost any turning angle, your axle shafts sit there and click and pop. And it sounds horrible. It sounds like your car's broken. But it's just what RCVs do if you strain them and turn them too hard. The engine in this car is a 3.9 liter V6. It's from a GM car. I believe it came out of cars like the old 90s Buicks. Maybe an Impala. It's the LZ9. Rock solid engines. These things work amazing. I'm gonna go the right line here. We have a couple choices set up, and this one's just a little more technical, which is this car's specialty. I've got 16-inch ADS 2.5 air shocks on all four corners. My left rear is coming into a big overcut. Had to wiggle the rear end around it. Front left making a little climb there, squeezing through. And then we're gonna make a corner up like a 4.5 foot ledge, probably about a 5 foot ledge. So these are my cutting brakes right here, these big silver handles. These control my rear brake calipers. I can control if my rear differential is locked or open. So right now it's open. So if I pull my right rear cutting brake, all the torque ends up getting delivered to the left rear wheel. Because I'm trying to pivot the car to the right, I want that left rear wheel to drive and my right rear wheel to stop, so that the inside tire is stopped and then the outside one's spinning. It's gonna help rotate the car. So let's give this a shot. We got good traction over there. It should work out. And up it goes. Help pull that front end right up and around that. Just squeeze past this. Left rear is going to climb that big old rock. And that's how you can use your tools as you move along. It's really fun. This trail doesn't really challenge the car like I kind of alluded to. It's just having fun. There is a bonus line to my left over here. It's really fun. I've done it a few times. I'm not doing it today. I'm running solo. And that's one that you can get yourself into trouble on. So just to play it safe, not trying to do that. I do know there's other people that I know here on the mountain right now crawling. They're just not on the trail with me. So if anything were to happen, I know who to call. Transmission is a 700 R4 built by Maximum Off-Road Transmissions. 700 R4 is a 3-speed with overdrive, so it's a 4-speed transmission. I guess we'll go left. I don't remember exactly if this is joint effort or to the right is joint effort. There's bonus lines both ways. Again, we'll probably skip them. There's a bonus line straight ahead of me. I don't really think I'll get myself in trouble, but I did it the last time I was here, which was like a week ago, and just don't need to do it right now. We'll just run joint effort, give you guys an idea of what to expect on the joint effort trail. But in Sand Hollow, it's open OHV, so if you see an obstacle like that you think looks fun, you are allowed to go drive on it. But as you can see, if you're riding solo in a capable car like this, you can make good time. I'm just cruising. I'm not even trying to move quickly, but I am gonna stop and check my map just to verify where I need to go. All right, so I did depart from joint effort, so we're gonna go up and across and drop back into it. I was sitting on a trail that I have not drove before. It's called Dead Broke. That is only rated a 7. So that'd be a really fun Jeep trail for somebody, but not quite challenging for this guy. So here we are back on joint effort. Say in the time I've had my car, I've gotten a lot better with having a good feel for where my rear steer is without necessarily babysitting it and watching it. Luckily, this Hulse engineering chassis has great visibility. So when I come up and over stuff like that, I can see what's going on pretty well. It's showing me that I'm not on joint effort again, so we'll have to zigzag our way back to it. I know I'm not far off, it's like right there. Fortunately, anywhere I see tire marks on rocks, with this vehicle, I know that I'm safe to do it because if any car can do it, this one can do it. Yeah, we're getting a ways off. Using that cutting brake to help me make a little tighter turn. I thought that was a bonus line back there, but apparently that is part of joint effort. Again, it's just one that, I don't know, I don't really want to do it solo. I had to get pretty aggressive with it the couple times I made it. It takes a bump and you're a little off camber and really steep. That's definitely one that gives it the 9 rating that it has earned. Here we are. So we can do something fun here. We can just pop it in front wheel drive. And then we'll use those cutting brakes again. And this thing just pivots right around. We're gonna drop into this little pinch point. And I'm still in front wheel drive. So I'm gonna use that to our advantage and help it rotate through here. Put it right back into 4-wheel as I had the pressure on the wall. That's a really fun bonus canyon. I will not run that solo. You can get trapped in there, need a winch, end up on your roof, whatever. End up on your side trapped in a crack. That's not ideal by yourself. Got another little drop here. My left rear tire is going to get itself in a bad spot. So what we're going to do is put it in rear wheel drive only. Engage the rear locker. Because the left rear tire is coming up against a big wall in front of it, so I want to drive it up and over. With the forward weight of the car hanging down the hill, it's going to put pressure on those tires to try and drive up it. So let's see if we can get her to come up. It's not quite enough to make it climb, so we're just going to put it in 4-wheel. My front tire I wasn't paying enough attention to. It was up on the front sidewall and was trying to rotate that front tire backwards. So that's partially why that wasn't working. But it's little things like that, just ways to take it easier on your car, be nicer to it, so that you don't have issues out there on the trails. You get to wheel more. I could have just powered through right from the beginning, but I'd prefer to try and take the strain off the car. So I gave the GoPro a break right there just as I ran up a section of a different trail. Joint effort crosses over a couple trails, and we just drove up the section that is actually double Sammy. We run a portion of double Sammy backwards. And that's just because this trail's a totally different rating level than double Sammy. And on the mountain, there's trails that crisscross all over it. We're getting the most out of the terrain we have available. This is always kind of a tricky little transition through here. You can get kind of pinched in here. I'm in a crab walk, so my rear tires are pointed with the same direction as my fronts. My left rear tire is about a foot in the air. We're all crossed up coming through this little crack. You gotta be careful when you do that for weight transfer. Fortunately, this thing twists up like crazy, so it really doesn't mind. Yeah, I really haven't set myself up well here. A lot of pressure up against that front passenger tire. Now I'm trying to scoot the rear end around. I did just see somebody standing up on the rocks. I'm assuming they're crawling through there and doing a little bit of spotting. Got a group of side-by-sides out here. Pretty wicked terrain for side-by-sides. So, let's see here. I essentially put an amount of pressure on the car there, and then I worked my steering, and every time I'd work it, it started driving up. And so, just doing that alleviates pressure on the car. I use those same tricks in RC. If I get my sidewalls all loaded up together, miss that left rear on the way up. Totally different. Just 2 inches further to the driver, and then it drove right up. And then I also use open differential pretty much whenever I can, because that alleviates pressure as well. And then times where I just need that added traction, go ahead and lock it in and go up wherever I gotta go. But I do need to send a thank you and a shout out to my car sponsors here. I've got 2 awesome sponsors I've worked with. I've got Trail Ready Wheels, which are the super badass 20-inch beadlock wheels that I've got on my car. I went with black on black with the gold hardware. For years, that's just been a combo that I've wanted, and I'm super stoked to have that combo on my car. Just one of the absolute best looking setups you can have. then the other sponsor I've got on the car is Utah Air Guns. Now you might think that's kind of a strange combo with rock crawling, which it is, which is a good thing. It brings two markets together. And I know a lot of the off-road guys are big 2A fans and just gun fans as well. Fortunately, air guns are not firearms, and so they go through a different rule set, which means Utah Air Guns can ship you a complete rifle package to your door. Air gun package. And they also offer a ton of really great shooting accessories for center fire people as well. That's mostly what I do and play with. And we're gonna give this razor just a second to give me a little space. Can't turn sharp enough. Problem solved. So getting back to Utah Air Guns, it's a cool relationship because my first YouTube channel was actually a gun channel. It's called West Desert Shooter, and I started Wheeler because YouTube is not a fan of firearms related content. They've really restricted monetization and all that crap. Also, I had a huge passion for off-roading, so it just made sense with the access I have to off-roading. I could probably create some great content. Now, as far as Utah Air Guns goes, I worked with them previously with West Desert Shooter. This is a really cool spot. It's kind of iconic here in Sand Hollow. This is known as the Z-turn, like zebra. So this is a Z-turn on joint effort. You'll see videos on Instagram, quite a bit of this. You see the chute a ton. You see on Milt's Mile, the middle monkey. You see that a lot. This is the Z-turn. And I'm running it the proper way today. Usually I'll go way driver and go up a big vertical wall for fun. But right here, we're just gonna run up the standard line. Again, to give you guys an idea of what to expect on joint effort. So I had worked with Utah Air Guns with West Desert Shooter, and I knew the owner. So there's a day where the owner was down here in town in Hurricane. I offered to give him a ride in the buggy. He came out, had a blast, and then we worked out a deal to where Utah Air Guns is now a sponsor of the car, and I'm super happy to have him on board because we're mixing markets here. And so what's really cool is I don't have to do anything outside of what I normally do. I just get to go drive what I want, have fun, and then share the good word of Utah Air Guns. I think it's been a great partnership, and I'm super grateful to have them on board. Looks like we got some more friends up here who are running joint effort with me. I found some full-size friends. There we go. As far as the Z-turn goes, if you have like a pretty serious rig, something on 1 tons, you know, something built for an aggressive trail, you can absolutely do the Z-turn in a full-size rig. It doesn't have to be a buggy. I guess we'll just climb this wall for no reason. Sometimes it's just fun to be goofy with your big toy. Alright guys, just stopped and chatted with some people for a second. These guys are running joint effort and side-by-sides, so big kudos to them for doing that. That's really cool. That's a very challenging trail for a side-by-side, no doubt. said, Utah Airguns blending the two markets together. I was just talking with that guy. He knows the owner of Utah Airguns. How funny. Now we're gonna rotate the car and drop in. Oh, yeah, that's no big deal. So I mean, I guess it's side-by-side possible as well. I knew there was a few people that were willing to do it, but I hadn't seen any of those guys before, so it's awesome that the side-by-side guys are starting to push the extreme side of rock crawling with them. That's really cool. Just because that's my interest, obviously. And while side-by-sides do get a bad rap, I've owned one before. I know they're very fun. I understand why people drive them like they do. It's crazy performance for just right out of the box. But there are a lot of people that misuse it and just, you know, give a bad rap to side-by-side owners. But it's funny because as I drove mine around, I was trying to be as respectful as possible to people. And you just know that when they see you, they just assume that you're an idiot and you're going to do donuts in the parking lots and stuff. And that was my biggest thing, is I always hated people that did that. Okay, we're going to go rear only and pop my rear up. Okay. This is a tricky little bowl section here. It's really fun. Because you end up off camber. And then just the way that you end up off camber, if your front left climbs too soon, then your front right won't climb and stuff. I'm actually going to try and get just a slightly different angle here. That should be just about right. Let's try open rear diff. We'll see what happens. Yeah, that's not it. Started to go and then it lost traction. So I think we're gonna need to use our rear locker. We're gonna have to stuff this thing through here. You know what, let's try a different line. Let's just get a little more sideways with it. We can't go anywhere, we're in the bottom of a hole. It's gonna pull it back and the front left's gonna drop off. See? Okay. I've only done this like once or twice, and I don't remember the exact perfect combination for this of how it's done. So let's try front only. Let's try and get our front right up. Okay, now the car's twisted up. We're gonna use our rear locker now. To keep the cage out of the rocks. I just touched it up the other day. As stupid as that sounds. Steel, it ain't cheap, man. There we go. All right, for my car at least, that's my secret there for that line. Get the front right up and then stuff it in there. I've also ended up rim locked and just a stupid little obstacle up here that just, it doesn't look like anything, but man, I just about had to get winched out of there. I was in trouble. That was before my car is this width though. And I will say just a couple inches narrower on a vehicle build completely changes how cars handle lines. where you end up sitting in the crack really changes. You always want to keep your tire higher on the big vertical wall, because if that falls off, it's harder to recover. This is the spot where I got rim locked, and it doesn't look like much, but I just got it on the wrong angle and trapped myself. If I can work my way up this wall. There's no tire marks on it, meaning that I don't think anybody's ever driven up this. Yeah, we got our hook up top. That's a pretty nasty breakover. Backside was too much of a downhill. Whew. Front end or rear tires in the air. Car's unhappy. A little front wheel drive action to save us. Well, cool guys, that is the end of joint effort, and we're gonna go hit one bonus line. It's not too crazy. They call it Woody's Wiggles, and that's because my buddy Woody used to do this without rear steer, and he'd have to get in there and wiggle his hydraulic steering to shift the back of the car around and wiggle his way through. So we're gonna go run that. I've also been out here with my buddy Thomas from Fabin 801. He is also a chassis manufacturer, and I've seen Thomas drive this as well. He nailed it. He did the good old Woody's wiggle, because Thomas's Atom Bot is not rear steer. Yeah, we're just where we, oh, wrong button. There we go. Front wheel drive only. tires are straight enough. We're gonna run this drag axle. So we're gonna so what we did there, I do this in RCs. I flattened out the tire against the rock like this, and then I try and turn the front end tire driver, and it forces the whole back end of the car to slide over. And you do that a few times, and it puts a bunch of pressure on it to do that. My left rear's in position. I don't want to drop that front passenger in too much more right now. Do a front only to help pull it through this little pinch point. I'm not trying to readjust the rear with this. I'm just trying to get the front to pull through. Perfect. Okay, my rear got trapped in that little triangle pocket. BFGs just squeeze their way through. And that's gonna be it. I appreciate you guys riding along with me. If you stuck it out this long, awesome. Hope you learned a few things along the way. Hopefully I didn't annoy you too bad. But overall, it was a great day out here on the trail. I'm gonna head back to the trailer, get her loaded up. And it's gonna round things out for me. We will see you guys in the next one. Keep the rubber side down.